how you feel on the day and what you prepared, right? I think scouting is relatively hard as well, since you don't have much to go on, and it's been like some days since the last game. Overall, I think it's interesting that ADC's been banned out with Zaya and Kai'Sa. And that obviously makes a champion like Tristana really strong. Alistar's banned off though, which was a really strong lane with Tristana. So I'm really looking forward where exactly are the priorities here. And Caitlyn obviously is really strong.
Yeah, I was going to say Caitlyn has been this massive first pick priority throughout the EU Masters. I wonder if they're leaning back towards this. It's strange that you ban it on the red side though. Maybe planning something specific like the Tristana into that Caitlyn.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward. I think Kled, is a ban that we've seen more often against NIP. Has 100% win rate from them. I think was played 3 or 4 times overall.
100% ban rate actually against NIP, but once Kled was picked by another team, we did see it do extremely well. Yeah. I think Conqueror on 8.6 has helped out Kled hugely.
Now, gentlemen, with all the bans that have come out in terms of the meta of the tournament, Swain has been let through. Now, Swain was allowed through yesterday, but was not the reason the game ended up winning. It was actually about a bottom lane. It was Blue Resort ganking over and over. But the power of Swain on the current patch is 8.6. What do you think of that one, Sheepy?
I think Swain right now is a power pick, definitely. It has so much damage and so much sustain that you really need to play around him and make sure that he dies in team fights, because if he's just like halfly touched and he can just storm through your team, he just deals so much damage, and it's so hard to counter because his E just constantly comes off with like a 4 to 5 seconds cooldown, and if you're a carry then you just have this window to hit him. So yeah.
I think the big thing I'd note as well, while Swain didn't look like the reason the team was winning in the game we saw him in yesterday.
Yes.
He was also a very safe lane. The jungler didn't have to go there because you constantly had the Swain and Anivia. That was always going to be a safe back and forth lane, so he was allowed to camp the bot lane instead. That's
right. So I'm looking at the draft yesterday when Ninjas in Pyjamas played the Movistar Riders, and they took the Kate, Olaf, Lulu, Gnar, and Anivia. That was the team composition for yesterday. For now, the Spanish Penguins, they have locked in Braum and Rise. So that already tells you Swain top, Rise mid is my expectation.
Or Rise top, yeah, okay.
I see the smirk. I see the smirk.
Yeah.
Is it that crazy?
No, I think it's, fine lane overall. Once again, it's like, I'm not sure that they will play this, but it's definitely a possibility. I think it's really interesting that they didn't pick ADC here. There's probably going to be some ADC bans here from NIP. They already banned 3 in the first draft, and then they don't pick one. So right now, there's probably Varus on the field, and then
Ezreal, I think maybe Jhin after that. It will
Siv's been up there as well,
Jhin.
don't forget. We've seen a bunch of Sivir from a number of teams, been a little bit
I think Sivir has like 26% win rate as well, like very low.
Yes, I mean, that's trap. Maybe if they get Sivir and Olaf in phase 2, and the Penguins show us that the 2 trap cards that not many players have been able to pull off this event, they can. But taking a look, it's going to be Skarner banned away on the side of Ninjas in Pyjamas, so limiting both the 2 remaining roles that Penguins have to lock in.
I mean, they picked the Trundle, which most likely goes into the jungle, and they picked out the ADC. I think right now they feel pretty comfortable with just having Tristana and just reducing the jungle pool right now.
Well, last time we saw Trundle picked into Penguins was when they locked in the Nocturne. So I wonder now, are they afraid from from NIP's side, or are they just, biding their time, seeing exactly, okay, if they go for that Nocturne, we have the counter pick?
I think it's hard to say, really. I think it's really hard to overall gauge how strong a Nocturne is right now. If you didn't play against it, it might be really, really hard because of the, the 4 seconds where you just don't see anything in the team, and that can disrupt a lot. I mean, their team comp overall is like relatively beefy, but yeah, definitely a champion that if you didn't play against it, you need to ban it out.
I'll talk about banning out. They're going to close it out with a Cassio the Gnar, so Finn's not going to get his hands on that Gnar that he played yesterday. It will be a Scion instead, as that's locked in. So now we need to see what will Ippon run in the jungle. We've already mentioned some of the options available to him. He's going to be facing that Trundle, by the way, which has a 90% presence, but only a 39% win rate. So also not one of the most successful picks here at EU Masters, but is a relatively small sample size.
Yeah, I really wonder what ADC they're going. Okay, and they go for the Sivir. Okay.
Olaf, come on, do it.
You want to get both predictions right? I think something carry-oriented into the Trundle would be smart. Olaf is specifically countered by Trundle. I think that would be very dangerous. If you want to go safety, you go for the Sejuani, even if Trundle has a relatively good matchup. But carry-oriented, and you can actually hard counter that Trundle. Like
what about Nocturne? What about, Nocturne? I'm just having some fun. Of course, everyone has played that once already.
I think Kha'Zix is available. Ah, safe.
Yeah, safe. That doesn't mean boring.
Yeah, I think, kind of does.
Sorry.
I would have rather seen a Nocturne if I'm honest. Yeah, I mean, I think both team comps right now are... very straightforward. They have like double tank line, both have a lot of DPS. The utility support on NIP is like a little bit different than the Braum. So I think both teams kind of want to do relatively the same, but okay, now with Anivia locked in, I think that NIP has more chances to play the team fighting, while, you know, Penguins have the rise for split push and might look for split push here.
One thing important to note, the Anivia yesterday for Larssen did not help Ninjas in Pyjamas. They lost that game in exceptionally quick time. They got obliterated by the Movistar Riders. So I want to see how much Ninjas can change today. Let's talk a little about team compositions and then lead me into a prediction, Celtic Tiger.
Yeah, my worry is the way Penguins played against that before was that they focused the bot lane. It's going to be a little harder now that you have Tristana and Morgana, who will probably push very far forward. On the other side, you still have that Swain for Penguins, so once these team fights actually do kick off, I expect he will have this massive presence, which is likely why Ippon went for the safety.
And who will win the game?
I lean towards Penguins simply because we've seen them be the stronger side.
Yeah, I think, you know, this is the point. I like the draft from NIP more, though. I think that the Trundle interaction with the Sejuani passive is good. I think Anivia against Ryze is a good pick. I think the bot lane is way more exciting with having a Morgana Tristana that can actually play aggressive. So I really would like to... I think if NIP plays this aggressive, they can win, and so I'm rooting for them.
Ooh, going to actually vote for them at the end. Of course, this is a best of 3. Teams need to pick up 2 wins before they advance to the next stage of the playoffs. Ladies and gentlemen, please let me introduce our shoutcasters for the series. Hitbrain and Foxtrot, take it away.
Thank you very much, Quick Shot. Yes, I am Jake Hitbrain Matthews, and joining me in the caster area is Dan Foxtrot Wyatt. I almost said desk again there. Now we're here. There is no desk here, but there is a lot on the line here. Ninjas in Pyjamas versus Penguins. Loser of this game will be out of the European Masters. It is a best of 3, so there's a lot to play for. And we need to keep our eyes on Ninjas in Pyjamas specifically. Mainly because, like it is highlighted on the desk, they failed to, you know, push those win conditions and actually play towards them.
Yeah, they've seemed like the weaker side overall, I would say, coming into this playoff matchup here. But I like what Shivi mentioned here, that if NIP play aggressively, they can take this game. And if there has been a strength of that team, I think it is the aggression in the early game. They're pretty good at doing that. When it comes to fighting, they're good at doing that too. But it is only a best of 3. So the first game you can kind of chalk up as a bit of a feeler game. You get an idea for what the enemy team's trying to do, the way they like to play. But the thing is, if you have one of those feeler games, you've only got 1 life left before you're knocked out.
We'll have to see whether or not they can actually get the feeling, or if they're just coming in confident. Because that could be the point for the Ninjas in Pyjamas did play yesterday. They got themselves through the group stages. They're a little bit more warmed up. And Penguins, you know, they've had a little bit of time to reset, but Penguins will have been watching these games, keeping their eyes on who they're playing and looking for the holes in the armor. Where are the holes for Ninjas in Pyjamas? Where are they looking to try to punish?
I feel like for me, I would be looking towards Larssen, not because I think he is a specific weakness necessarily for Ninjas in Pyjamas, but I feel like he's been a bit inconsistent. I think that for Ninjas in Pyjamas, if they want to come out on top, when Larssen performs well, when he has more standout performances, it seems as though overall as a team they look much better, they're much more concise and gel together as a team. And to that extent, when he doesn't look so good, that's when I think Penguins can punish that. We've seen some good performances coming out of Ippon as well. He's a very decent jungler. Playing the Sejuani though this game isn't necessarily the kind of champion where you can have any kind of standout performances like he did on Nocturne.
But he is playing into Kadril, a jungler who we've had quite a lot of concerns about across this entire tournament, and you know, coming up towards the tournament when they were in the ESL Premiership playing for Diabolus. Kadril, we didn't really know if he felt like he was comfortable in the jungle role coming out from mid. So Ippon, yes, he's now in a matchup where he's countered, but remember, this is the primary shot caller. This is one of the standout players here for the Penguins. So have to see actually how Kadril matches up against him.
Yeah, he's still, I think it would be fair to say that Kadril's still trying to find his footing, both in the EU Masters, but just overall, because he has just recently lane swapped. You guys probably remember him from being playing as a mid laner in the LCS and now being turning into a jungler. It's a bit of a transition that you've got to get used to, and we see domestically performances out of Kadril when he's on the Sejuani specifically. He's actually looked pretty decent as a jungler, but everything outside of that, not so convincing, and in the EU Masters, it's been a little bit more of those unconvincing performances than the ones where he's looked decent or solid overall.
Well, Foxtrot, we've got a little bit of time. Talk to me a little bit about these bot lane duos here, because We've talked a lot about the mid, we talked a lot about the junglers, but the bot laners, they've been quite quiet until later on in the game. Who do you think's actually the stronger here in lane?
I feel like XD Smiley is a really good player, and NIP are going to have to rely on him quite a lot to carry them and to pull out victories. He's been quite a reliable character for their team. And the thing with Hava as well this game is you have to remember that he's really going up against it for his AD carry pool because they squeezed him hard in the draft. There are 4 AD carry bans coming out of NIP this game, plus they picked the Tristana in the first rotation. So 5 AD carries off the board. That's quite a far way down for Hava to pick up whatever he wanted to play, which was the Sivir, which is a bit more, you could argue a bit more supporty, you know, rather
well, we saw Forgiven on it yesterday.
Forgiven was
hard
really
farmed
solid.
and then was disgusting. The ricochets were half healthing.
Yes, but the utility that Sivir offers is one of the more beneficial things of playing Sivir in general. So I feel like it would show if Hava can have a good performance on this Sivir. That's pretty bloody good, because if you're squeezed from 5 champions and you still have a good solid performance on your AD carry, then that is certainly a good sign going into future drafts, because then do you even bother trying to ban him out in the future, because he can still perform even when you do that.
Well, we've loaded through to the Summoner's Rift. Penguins taking on Ninjas and Pyjamas. Penguins from Spain, one of the most dominant regions here in the European Masters. I'm pumped to get into this. This is a best of 3. Like you said, this is the feeler game. This is where they kind of figure out where each other's weaknesses are. But Penguins do have that slight advantage that they got to watch all the playoffs yesterday. They got to see 2 Ninjas and Pyjama games.
And I'm looking directly into this top lane here just to start things off. If we're talking about setting up the spice for the game, the Swain pick, that's not been let through very much. I believe it has a 100% presence throughout this entire tournament. This will be the 3rd game it's picked up, sitting on a
50% win rate.
Sitting on a mediocre, average, adequate 50%. 1 win, 1 loss. Indeed, the 100% presence. Pure bans, pure picks. And now we'll see whether or not Glebo can whip it out.
How does the Swain match up into the Sion?
Well, this is the thing, is that Sion is known as a bit of a irritating, annoying laner to play against, but at the end of the day, Sion isn't really looking to necessarily win lane. In solo queue, you can win lane with Sion because you can just poke. People don't really know how to deal with it, and then it's solo queue, so magical things happen. In a game like this, if you're Sion, it's kind of hard to win lane against Swain, honestly. He's really irritating to play versus, but Sion is just going to look to get tanky. That's his role this game. He'll be a big, beefy frontline. He'll go for the engages. If anything, this could be an exploitable top laner for Ippon if he wants to go into that top lane, because even though he's a tank, Finn is a tank, the Sion is tanky, he doesn't get too tanky until he reaches maybe around the level 6 mark when he starts completing his first few items.
I expect to see Finn also pick that banner command up early to try and stop Glebo's push early, because obviously one of the major weaknesses in Swain actually is his ability to clear out waves. His W doesn't do too much damage to them, and if you've got a banner minion, it's going to be hard for him. We do see Glebo is running that minion dematerializer, and Kadril's actually trying to gank him here, forces the flash out. Decimating Smash knocks him up, and Kadril finds first blood.
Wow, that was a really, really quick gank right there, not even at the 3-minute mark. I was talking about how Ippon could get into that top lane early, but it was Kadril sliding in there, getting the flash and the kill. Might set up for stuff in the future too.
We'll have to keep our eye on exactly how Kadril's now going to play around this top side, knowing that Glebo has burnt his flash. Finn also, though, does not have a flash. That could be pretty big.
He really got his cake and he ate it at the same time. Kadril must be very happy with that performance there, especially considering we touched upon it going into this game, where Kadril's been a little bit of a question mark for NIP. I put my focus onto Larson as far as not always performing very well, but if he does perform well, that's a big thing for NIP. The same should be said about Kadril, because this guy, if you've got an underperforming member, anytime they step up, we saw that with Origin, honestly, when Insect, night and day performances, but he's going for a return gank.
Pillar's already been thrown down. Glebo on the receiving end of a big gank. A knockup comes through, and Glebo's camp gets paid off. A second kill for Kadril.
Kadril, 2-0-0 before the 4-minute mark. Talk about night and day performances. Sitting on that trundle, getting Finn ahead here. If you are Penguins and you want to look at this and the silver lining, Both Trundle and Sion, not really your get fed and we will carry, we will win. So to that extent, it's not the end of the world, but still, we're sitting pretty at half CS here from Glebo onto, over compared to Finn. That's a good start for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
And you pick this Swain so you kind of bully and win the lane match out versus the Sion. They're kind of negating that night right now with Cajal putting a lot of pressure onto Glebo early, giving Finn a lot of lane priority. He has forced that wave into him, so it is an 11 CS lead to Glebo.
It's a pretty decent lead right there, and around 500 gold advantages on Cajal and on Finn. So that would be a small item advantage there. You can see Cajal, the red smites, whereas Ipon's sitting just on that machete. So that might come in handy here if Cajal ever goes for a gank. He's got that little bit extra damage. If he goes for the 1v1 onto Ipon as well, there's no way Ipon will be able to fight him. And things are looking good for the Ninjas in the Pyjamas.
Now, we haven't hit too much on Larson and Sealer, two very standout players. This was our lane to watch. They've put themselves two scaling mid laners. They're going to need a little bit of time. So for the moment, the mid lane's been relatively quiet for both of these teams. And all this action's been going down in the top side. Well, two of the lanes that, you know, big carries for both Ninjas and Pyjamas and for Penguins, their bot and their mid, just want some time to scale. You know, there's always that scary 6-item Sivir, and Tristana, when she hits that double energizer with the Infinity Edge, starts to really pop off. I know that's a trigger word.
I feel like not even 6 minutes into the game, it's a bit... I don't want to think about this game going so long that we start talking about 6 items on people like Sivir. But what I will be looking at for the first big kind of play of the game as far as Penguins are concerned, going back to that mid lane, is Larson. He doesn't really have any...
Oh, he's on the receiving end from Cajal. Sealer forced to flash out. A great wall comes down. And Larson now burning that flash on Sealer. Have to see whether or not Cajal punishes that like he did topside.
He did it once already this game. It's a lot harder to do it in the mid lane, but I mean, we saw it happen there. I mean, if Sealer finds himself in a position like he just found himself in, then yes, he would go down without that flash. I'm going to look towards Ipon here, and I feel like for him, once he gets level 6, if he slides into that mid lane, Larson will be in a bit of a pickle because he's got teleport on cooldown. He does have that spell book, but he can't swap it out for a cleanse, and he can't use that cleanse just yet. So when Ipon hits 6 and he goes mid, Larson will be a bit of a sitting duck. Wrong kind of bird, but either way, you get the idea. Sealer can set up that gank too. For me, it's about whether or not Cajal counters that gank, see whether he can protect Larson.
Well, that's a 1.5k gold lead to the Ninjas in Pyjamas as we see so much action from Cajal, being very proactive on the map, and we raised concerns about whether or not he was going to actually show up today. Looks like for now he's coming in confident, felt warmed up after going through that play-in stage. He was in the group of death, remember. Ninjas in Pyjamas had a hard group, and Cajal playing constantly aggressive. He's already walking into the jungle of Ipon, trying to find him out at his red buff.
Ipon can't do anything about this.
He has no mana.
Yeah, exactly. He's completely He's a lower level than Cajal. Right now, Cajal can have whatever he wants to do in that jungle. Absolutely, it's free for him. He might look to... Is he going for some more stuff? He's not done yet. He's still invading.
He's still invading. I don't know whether or not he's going to go for it, as we actually have the Unstoppable Onslaught getting thrown down. Demonic Ascension by Glebo to keep him topped up and alive. And Finn now does need to walk away, because if that bird pops, it's going to hurt.
Cajal is just sitting on the Krugs. He's genuinely just full-on pressuring Ipon here, and I don't think they should set up for a dive. I think that would be a bit too much here from NIP, bit too aggy. But either way, Cajal's establishing a decent amount of dominance with these plays and using the advantage that he acquired for himself to not only invade, get the red buff, put pressure down, but now to transition it into a dragon.
Well, he is taking a little bit of damage in this lane. Harva and him both have it sitting on that BF sword. So pretty even in this bot side, but Cajal now on the Trundle with all the dominance, with all the vision control they have down in this bot side. Does mean they're going to be able to pick up this Drake.
Really solid play out of Cajal here. We have to give him credit. I mean, considering the performances he's had so far in the EU Masters, this is really the start you want to have.
Now, Larson actually hasn't finished up his Catalyst. He's gone Ruby Crystal and Sapphire Crystal. I think it's both crystals. Got himself a blasting one, so he's really investing in that early damage. It's like Ippon on the trying to get a gank onto Finn. Got a lot of damage, but Finn just flashes over the never move. Flash comes down from Grippo as he is getting pinned up. Finn now on the run, doesn't have flash, doesn't have ultimate. His health bar is chicking down, and Glebo trying to find himself a kill. Ippon will be the one who's able to find it. And Finn now just forced to farm out this wave.
First kill of the game coming over to Penguins here. Like I say, you can exploit these tanky top laners before they become tanky. A Scion isn't born fresh out the womb with 10,000 health. He has to get it through his items. Not quite there yet, so you can exploit him, get the flash out of him as well. I will question whether or not you can really do too many return ganks there, because now he is getting quite tanky. But generally speaking...
That took a long time to chip through him.
It did. It took a long time, and he's only going to get tankier, and Ippon isn't really going to get much more damage. So it will become a lot harder as the game goes on. And to be honest, it's not really the lane you want to apply pressure to either. So a nice kind of balance the ship a little bit there with Glebo. It was maybe taking on a bit of water, plug some of the holes, and not too bad from Penguins.
Penguins have himself a good start out for the moment. Sorry. Starting to try and catch this gold lead back for the moment, as it is still just 1,000 separating these teams, and Larssen aggressing onto Sealer. Sealer, remember, does have that flash available as he goes over the wall.
I could tell what you were about to say there, mate, but good save, bro. That's his flash down again, though, and wasn't quite able to exploit it when it went down before. But either way, a Rise without his flash. It will definitely put a bit of a pause button on any aggressive plays if Rise wants to roam down, if he wants to go for any kind of skirmishes or anything like that. But he's getting, Anivia's getting caught as well.
They're going for a demonic ascension here on the top side. Finn taking a lot of damage. Larssen has been aggressed onto. Is able to walk away with that cleanse as he gets realm warped up. But it looks like Cadril just going to be uncontested taking this Rift Herald. This should be able to open the map up for him and the rest of Ninjas in Pyjamas. You need to pick that eye up, Cadril.
I guess he doesn't want... Wait. He must just be scout. Yeah, he's a scouter now. He hasn't forgotten about it.
Are you sure?
Has he? No, he's not forgotten about it. He's getting
Meanwhile,
it now.
Smiley is getting aggressed onto, does have that rocket jump available. Cadril was able to pick up that Rift Herald, so...
And this Rift Herald has huge value when First Blood Tower is still available. They might actually be able to get this one without using it, which would be great for breaking open the map.
Penguins aggressing forward. They're looking to try and get on Hustling Beast. The teleports come down, and that will be everything thrown on top of the Morgana. Penguins going to find themselves a kill. The Soul Shackles do not tick down in time as first turret blood gets picked up in the top side. Rift Herald has been summoned as well. And Ninjas in Pyjamas looking to push this.
And this is really smart by NIP. They see that the majority of the resources from Penguins were put into that bot side. And NIP, they get the First Blood Tower and slap down this Herald, saying, you know what? If Penguins want to keep going for this push, if they want to try and match us, we'll one-up them again. They're going to get 2 towers here.
So that means top is fully taken down here for the side of Ninjas in Pyjamas. They got themselves 2 turrets to 1. Gold lead now extending further, 21k to almost 20k. Trying to keep up for the moment.
I have to say, if you're NIP, this is a good start to the game. 2 towers down in that top side. Only losing 1 for yourself here in the bot lane as well, and Cadril, really the catalyst for a lot of these things. These plays, all coming out of the aggression of the jungler. And considering the performances he's had before, I have to give him credit for this.
Let's have a look at XE Smiley and Hustling Beast now pushing this wave in bot side as well. Ninjas in Pyjamas trying to play around this full map control, but Ippon is there. Does have the Glacial Prison available to him for the moment. He's going to throw it down onto XD Smiley, gets instantly pulled in. He is burning down, and Ippon's able to find the kill. Hustling Beast now on the run, but it doesn't look like Cadril's even going to come down and help him. They lose 2 in the bot side, and Penguins punish.
I was going to say, this is, you know, a decent positioning here from Ippon, but what are you going to do to break that black shield? That's just going to stop the play right in its tracks. Maybe the way to play against it is just to not use it.
Or you just go on the rise. Sealer getting pinned up, and he is slowed. Cadril's able to pick himself up. His 3rd kill is Finn now, looking for Karkal. The flash comes down, and he's able to get out of that, but a kill is answered back in the mid.
All right, a few interesting plays right there. Emphasis on the first part of that word. Sealer going in for the chickens. That's greedy, mate. He gets caught out of position, and he is gunned down. still have to put a question mark onto how XD Smiley gets caught by a glacial prison when a black shield's open. That's kind of the reason why you want to pick this Morgana. Sort of one of the best things about her. But either way, if you're going to learn your lesson, that's one way to learn it.
And the reason they were playing so aggressive in lane earlier was because K-Draw had gone down to that wave, was able to pull a lot of vision down so they knew they were safe. XD Smiley kind of just forgot that the vision wasn't there. And this is criminal of Ninjas in Pyjamas. They play really well in the team fights, but setting up for the team fights, playing to their win conditions can always be a concern for this team. You're seeing once again, not playing really around their vision. At least they were able to punish back for it though.
And NIP getting a bit too greedy here and not waiting for the backup of their own jungler before they push forward, like you say. Another dragon has spawned. It is a second Cloud Dragon. If NIP want to pick this one up, they will be zooming around the map. But it doesn't look like Penguins are going to give it to them for free.
So we might have a little bit of a scrap here as all of the lanes are starting to converge around this Drake pick with 14 minutes on the clock. And Ninjas in Pyjamas are still slightly ahead of Penguins. Remember, Penguins, second seed from Spain, one of the strongest regions. And Ninjas in Pyjamas, we had a couple of questions about them, but early, they're playing this game very, very well.
It's funny that Penguins, technically, yes, second seed coming out of Spain, and like you say, one of the strongest regions. I believe they came 7th out of 8. Domestically, that's where they are right now. They're really not a top-tier Spanish team as far as that definition goes, but a TP coming in bot side.
Looking to punish out for Glubo here. Finn hopping forward, a pillar gets thrown down. He's gone into Demonic Ascension as Ippon is on the side with that Glacial Fissure. Does go a little bit wide, but Smiley firing away. Ippon with the Soul Shackles gets knocked up by Finn. Now Sealer on the chase. It's been turned around as Penguins are stepping forward. A flash out from Smiley, but he is so low and Sealer finds the first kill of the fight. Now Penguins getting turned onto. It's back and forth as Harver has entered into the fray. He's able to clear this wave out, but he can't do too much for Larson. You need to group in the Glacial Storm if you are a Penguin.
Holy moly! What an ultimate coming out of Caracal there, though. It's like a prediction. Mad Life Braum ultimate there to catch XD Smiley. Smiley flashed thinking it was heading towards him, but it wasn't. It was heading in his path, and a 1-for-1 in the end there, but considering that play was started by NIP, you have to wonder, okay guys, you're getting a little bit hypey here. They're now down in kills, considering they had control of this early game. They're still ahead, 2,000 gold, so we shouldn't say like, oh my goodness, you've thrown the game, NIP, what are you doing?
They got a turret.
Like that. It's definitely not quite like that yet, but still, just chill out a little bit here, guys. These are the warning signs, NIP, that you might be getting a little bit too hypey.
They traded 1-for-1. They were able to pick a turret up in response, and you can see Penguins basically ignored topside. A massive wave was able to crash into the turret. That turret will regenerate health, so at this point at 16 minutes, it's not really going to cost them too much. But you can see, for the moment, Ninjas in Pyjamas starting to play around the map, starting to look for their next points. But as these structures start to fall, as the objectives start to get closer and closer to Penguins, we're quite early in the game. This gives time for Penguins to be able to try and hold on.
What I find quite interesting about this game specifically, this seems to be like a reverse expectation game. Everything that we were kind of analyzing and breaking down about what might happen between these two teams has been the complete opposite. Larson, he's up about 40 CS onto Sealer here, and we said he was kind of like the question mark. All right, so good job, Larson, you're ahead. But what's happening in the bot lane? Smiley's about 50 CS down on Haver, and Haver here is on his 6th string AD carry. What's up with that? This has been talking about the reliability of XD Smiley. Larson's stepping up and Smiley's kind of slipping a little bit, but still, the scaling of Tristana, it's okay if you can get involved a little bit later on into the game, and the question just becomes, is this advantage or the difference between the AD carries right now going to mean anything in any of the fights that might be happening soon?
Well, as one item has been finished up on Harver, if a fight does break out now, should be in the favor of Penguins, but you still have to be scared of Larson. You still have to be scared of K-Draw as well, another player who, you know, we had our concerns. He's stepping up.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I say, the reverse expectation. K-Draw's being an absolute beast. He got some tips from Insec on how to reverse his performances. Credit to both of those players. Insec stepped up yesterday, and K-Draw's doing it so far today. This is a best of 3. This is only the first game, but still, this is what you want. If you want to have some kind of statement for yourself, just get your own confidence back. If K-Draw's not had the best performances, this is the kind of performance you want to get your trust back in yourself. And now we're seeing Sealer's pushed up pretty bloody far in this top lane, and if NIP want to collapse, he could be in trouble.
Well, Larson is on his way up as Cadril now collapsing through onto the right. Sealer trying to unload a little bit of damage. His Ghost has already been popped. Subjugate on hold for the moment. Great pillar as Sealer now gets walled in and the Frostbite comes down. Cadril able to find the kill.
Larson, that Q was beautiful. That's actually a lot harder than it looks to land that one, considering how fast Sealer was zipping around the map right there with his passive and his Ghost popping. But still, a free kill up onto him. You have to think maybe a little bit too aggro there, Sealer, mate. You might want to be pushing not too far forward, hang a little bit further back. But the big thing is, both these mid towers are still up here, so the map is still kind of tight right now.
I was just about to hit on that as well. This map, once they drop this mid lane turret, Ninjas and Pyjamas have a lot more freedom to move into the map and ward it up. So great job by Penguins to hold on for now, but it looks like Cadril and the rest of the team starting to try and get some damage down. It's already lost half of its health as they are working through it. Ippon aggressing forward, a great wall has come out to split the team apart. Just a little bit of poke damage from over the wall by Ninjas and Pyjamas, and they're going to peel away from this mid lane tier 1.
That's all Penguins needed to do there, just hold on for a little bit. Rise has now respawned, so if they want to go for maybe even a fight here, maybe even a proper engage, they can do it without being outnumbered. But Smiley just wants to break down this tower.
Great wall has split Glebo away from the team, and he is already in Demonic Ascension and forced to Zhonya's. Ninjas and Pyjamas get the stun down, get the damage out as the Glacial Fish is there. Glebo is still somehow alive, and Sealer's on the side. Ippon being turned on to now, but Sealer zips his way in and forces Ninjas and Pyjamas away. They get a turret, but don't find a kill.
Free tower and almost picking up the kills for basically nothing there. That's cool. NIP will absolutely take that one. A bit of a weird interaction with Larson sticking down his walls, which kind of denies Finn the engages because he can't just charge through them. He has to wait for them to go down. But either way, NIP, they're in control of this early game, and now they're using these picks that they're getting, the gold advantage that they're accruing, to actually push forward into Penguins, because it's all good if you can get some kills in the early game, but what does it mean if you're not actually able to put your foot down on the pedal and really get going?
Well, now, Ninjas and Pyjamas don't have too many wards on the map, so I'd like to see, with the fact this tier 1 is down, they can either ward up for Baron and go for the bait. Drake is spawning in 10 seconds. It is an Ocean Drake. Maybe they're going to play around that as Smiley's forcing the wave in bot side, trying to get a little bit of priorities. He's going to base and spend some of this gold from this turret going down.
If NIP want to rush this dragon here, seeing that Sealer is topside, absolutely they could go for that one, because Sealer has no TP, but Finn does. Doesn't look like they're going to go for that one, but you have to respect that a little bit if you're Penguins, that if you stick someone on the top side of the map who doesn't have teleport, everything on the bottom side of the map becomes a little bit harder to defend. Maybe both these teams don't really care too much about Ocean. There's a bit of a laissez-faire attitude going on here between whether they even want to go for it. Seems like NIP are just going to start this one up. Cadril's going to try and nick it for himself.
0 wards by Penguins, so Cadril...
They really don't care. It seems like surely they just don't have any idea it's going down. They really just don't care about
They invested a lot of wards around Baron. Penguins very, very scared that Ninjas and Pyjamas could try and sneak it, so they put all of their wards down at Baron, and they're going to be unaware of the Ocean Drake. Not the most impactful Drake at the moment, but if you do get a couple under your belt, you get that good regen, you get help yourself with that siege. As Globo now starting to try to shove away Finn, but that's a banner minion, and he does not have his minion dematerializer ready quite yet. Or he just used it, so... I was looking at the item and trying to remember the name.
I think you must have looked at it right as it was used.
I was being a silly sausage there.
You're being a bit of a silly sausage. You're like an island off the coast of Italy. Yes, I silly. Get it? No, that's a terrible joke. I can hear Trevor laughing in the background. Someone got it. It's probably a pity laugh.
Well,
either way.
Breaking out. Good black shield has come down, and Cadril should be nice and safe as the rest of the team weren't there to help him. Held onto that subjugate.
Thought maybe something was going down there, but kind of hard to engage onto that front line from NIP, plus the Black Shield from Hustling Beast, if he has decided to bind it to a key. We didn't quite see that coming out of the early game, but I have faith in him that he's done that now. Now this is the phase of the game where everything around the Baron starts opening up. You want to use your advantage if you're at NIP to stomp out some of that vision in the Baron area, deny the vision out of Penguins, because what happens if the Baron area is dark and you are a Penguin? You You can't just ignore the potential that NIP could be taking it. So how do you find out if it's going down?
Well, Penguins are quite used to Dark.
I'm sure.
They get multiple months of it in a row.
But, okay. But let's assume I'm talking about League of Legends.
Well, you can see the Baron vision right there.
Yeah.
Penguins cannot see anything at Baron. They are trying to contest it a little bit. Seeing Sealer over the wall, just clearing a couple of wards out. They've actually still got more wards down in this pit. As now, I think that will all change as Ninjas and Pyjamas walking as this 4-man unit to clear all of the wards out.
Exactly, so this is what I was talking about. If you want to stomp this vision here, and then I'll pose this as a rhetorical question this time around,
okay.
And we'll try and get somewhere with it. If you're the Penguins and Baron area is dark, you don't just want to give it away for free, so how do you check to see if it's being done? Well, you either pray that you have your blue trinket off of cooldown,
which it is at the moment,
or you face check it. And if the blue ward is a one-use thing, so you put it down and bam, now that's on cooldown. So basically it puts you in a sticky situation if you are the Penguins, and NIP want to use that to their advantage. Plus,
as long as they can bait that ward out, just hide in the bush, just clear it out, and then at that point you then reset the aggression, you go back, you force them in, and then you make them question and check blind if you're on the side of Ninjas and Pyjamas. But for Penguins, they need to just pray that they catch Ninjas and Pyjamas out.
And this Anivia pick as well, it's not just for holding waves and defending the crashes that come into your towers. It's also for having that kind of zone of control in these smaller, closed-off areas. And whereas the river is a little bit open, it's still something where if you can set up around the Baron area and you stick down that Glacial Storm, then you can really control a team fight.
Cajal is stepping forward, not actually going to overcommit to the fight. You can see Glebo actually trying to save as many of these minion dematerializers as possible.
He needs to, man. He needs to. That Banner of Command is really hard to deal with if you don't have those.
Finn is making his way down towards the rest of the team. Kakal could be checking in blind as Cadril places a pillar down. That's going to be the on the hunt. Kakal now under fire. The unstoppable onslaught from Finn goes straight into the back and Harbour. Force the flash. Sealer now with a Realm Warp trying to come in and buy some time for the team. But Ippon on the receiving end of so much damage, and the wall is already forced the flash, but the binding connects. I don't know if they have the damage. I take that back. Smiley is hurting right now. And Cadril picks up his 5th kill.
And Glebo has his TP but decides not to join that fight. I think Penguins has had the idea they'll disengage there, but it's not enough. If you lose your jungler around the Baron area at 26 minutes, guess what happens?
Watch out for the decimating smash onto 2 targets. This Nasher has already been started up. No jungler for the side of Penguins, but it looks like for now they're focusing out. They're going for this Drake. Nasher, sorry, it's going to get picked up on Glebo. Demonic Ascension up in the air, but already forced to use that Zhonya's. He could pop in time as Hustling Beast able to pick him up, and now Ninjas in Pyjamas chasing for more, chasing for the objectives. Needs to be careful because Sealer does a lot of damage. He's going to dodge out for the binding, and a pillar comes down. Sealer now trying to get out, and he's able to do so.
This Anivia before. Oh god,
Harbour's dead.
Dead. He is dead.
Binding connect off just off to the side onto the rise, but it looks like Sealer should be okay. Larson with a very, very big wave, putting so much damage in onto this turret. This will be the first inhibitor turret falling. That is in the top side. Ninjas in Pyjamas looking to show up here at the playoff stage.
And I have to give huge amounts of credits to Larson as well. The way he's playing his Anivia, his walls are really, really good. He's getting catches.
Oh, Sealer's being caught out, and Smiley picks up his first kill of the game. Ninjas and Pyjamas now playing a little bit tempered with that aggression. They're going to step back. Don't want to throw at the base. Don't want to give anything over to Penguins, and they are dominant in this game.
But what happened this game? I swear this was a relatively close game up until about 3 minutes ago when Ippon died in that mid lane, and everything just started falling apart for Penguins.
I mean, Sealer's 1-4 right now, and he was one of the bigged up carries we pegged for Penguins to show up, and he just had a hard game. Glebo as well, very, very solid player, but got camped by Cadril, and they just undid everything Penguins were looking to do in this game and played perfectly to their win conditions, which, when we go back to what the analyst desks or what both me and you said as well, we were concerned that Ninjas and Pyjamas weren't very good at executing on their win conditions. They're doing it here.
Yeah, this is a really, really different Ninjas and Pyjamas, it feels like, watching this game. Not only because Cadril is 5-0 and not 0-5, but because, like you say, they're really good at executing on these win conditions. They see what they need to do and they play around it. And honestly, if I'm looking at NIP right here, I'm kind of scared because we already know that XD Smiley, if NIP go late on enough, XD Smiley, he's a decent, reliable carry. But they're honestly pretty much smashing this game, and XD Smiley is not even a huge factor.
Penguins
and they're playing versus Swain.
And they're playing versus Swain. This will put Swain at 1 and 2 in the European Masters if Penguins don't find a way to turn this game around. You got Finn working a big wave into the mid lane, looking for that tier 2 as the rest of Ninjas in Pyjamas stepping forward. This is a 5v4. Glacial Fisher gets thrown down onto Cadril as already Hustling Beast has popped down Harbour. Globo trying to stay alive. Larson is in the fray, trying to put the damage down, and we got a knock-up, a dive, and Cadril's able to find himself 6 kills. A pillar is absolutely massive, and Penguins Mafia are falling apart. It's a double kill onto Cadril. The turret is falling, and the base is in shambles.
NIP might actually look to close the entire game out of this one.
That's a big binding. That's going to be the end of Sealer. He is 1 and 5 on the rise.
That's going to be it. You have to imagine here that NIP are going to take the lead in this series, and what a dominating performance considering how they've played before, really picking it up. 7-0 on Cadril. Well, got into this guy. What did he eat for breakfast?
The Nexus
Penguins?
is laid bare, and Penguins are on the menu. Ninjas in Pyjamas take the first of the series.
Solid victory for Ninjas in Pyjamas right there. You have to think, this did not look like the team that